Today, the moon goes into Capricorn, where we focus on that which holds us up, the principles, the foundations, the structures, the operating systems that we use to know who we are. So in our collective experience, that happens to be our government, right? And so the government that is built on something that was agreed upon a long time ago, or something that we continue to agree to in the various ways that we do, or something that we continue to work on and refine and uphold or change as we go through time. And so that is an example of how Capricorn operates. It creates a system, an institution or set of institutions that help us know how to function. I'm Marina Ormes here with your Astro Vibe for Wednesday, December 13th. And with the moon going into Capricorn, yesterday we had the Sagittarius new moon. Last night, Mercury stationed retrograde. So we're now at the very beginning of that Mercury retrograde period. Mercury's in Capricorn. The moon going into Capricorn kind of adds to that Mercury theme. Mercury is the planet of communication. It's the planet of thinking and ideas and the ways that information is shared, used, and processed. So with Mercury going retrograde in Capricorn, we are contemplating collectively how we need to think about our information, our communication, and how that works, especially in a system, Capricorn, a government, an institution, or a way of operating. So way of getting organized, right? Capricorn relates to our skeleton. It is what holds us up. Without the skeleton, we have no structure. So we need rules, limitations, guidelines, guiding principles to create structure. And then from that structure, we can, that we can function. It doesn't mean we are always black and white, right? But it means we have something to refer to when we want to know how to move forward. So in government, in society, that would be our rule of law, right? We have laws, we have systems we follow, we have rules. It doesn't mean they're always right. It doesn't mean they're always followed. It doesn't mean that they're always the best thought out, right? But they're there, and they can be thought about, modified, challenged, considered, applied where appropriate, applied where not appropriate. So everything having to do with how we use and operate within that system for a society is our government. And again, it doesn't mean it's always right or anyone agrees with it at any given time. It just means that's how we are choosing to operate. So for the United States, we have our Constitution, right? And we have the principles that are laid out in the Constitution that our rule of law ultimately refers back to. So when we're wondering how to move forward, we're going to and we're not sure how to interpret the law, right? We're going to go back to that Constitution and try to understand what our operating principles are and how to best apply them. And as human beings, we grapple with that. So here in today's astrology, Astro Vibe, astrology for unshakable self-care, with the moon going into Capricorn, it is the perfect time for you to think about your personal operating system, your personal guiding principles, your personal constitution, if you will. So what gives you structure, and what about that do you agree with or not agree with? What about that needs to be challenged or changed or modified or adapted, or come up to speed with who you've become compared with who you were 10 years ago or 20 or 30 years ago? So again, it is not that it's always right or always wrong. It's more that we want to come back to, well, what is it that is guiding me? What am I basing my decisions on? How am I operating? What are my assumptions? What are my values, my principles, my guiding light? And so yesterday, when I was talking about the Sagittarius new moon, really talking about how this bigger philosophical framework of how we need to understand who we are, what's important to us, why we do things, what we value. When we come back to what those bigger ideologies, philosophies, beliefs, and principles are, today's Capricorn new moon is, Capricorn moon following yesterday's Sagittarius new moon is helping us by saying, what is the framework? What is the system? What is the skeleton or the structure that is giving you that way of the rules, right? The ways of making decisions. So coming back to the basics, the foundations, the essence of who we are and what we do and why we do that. And so asking those deeper questions, not just going blindly into the decisions because we feel like we're supposed to or we should, but actually questioning that deeper place of, why do I do that? What is that based on? Where does that come from? And do I need to question or challenge that deeper foundational principle and ask myself who I want to be going forward, what I care about, what gives meaning to my life, what is that guiding star? So I highly recommend you check out yesterday's video if you missed it and want to know more about the Sagittarius moon cycle, where we are delving into what it is we believe in, what's important to us, what gives meaning to our lives. And with Mercury retrograde, we're also having to give a little more time and attention to be thorough as we consider how we are moving forward, and being a little more thoughtful and careful about how we proceed. So giving a little bit more of a look before you leap. And I explained a little bit more about that in yesterday's video. So that was the December 12th video for the Sagittarius new moon. And of course, last weekend I had some great videos about yesterday's Sagittarius new moon, Mercury retrograde, also the what it's going to look like heading into 2024, especially with Pluto going into Aquarius, a crazy thing that hasn't happened since the late 1700s. So talk about creating new systems and structures. The American Revolution is where much of this began. And so we are revisiting some of those old principles and getting a chance to do things in new revolutionary ways as we did back then. So cool stuff. Check out recent videos, especially December 9th and 10th for some in-depth thoughts and analysis from me about where we're at this point in the evolution of time and how the planetary cycles unfold and how we can work with that to be our most optimal and effective selves. Thanks so much for being here. I'm Marina Ormes, and you can learn more about me and how to work with me at astrologyheals.com. Check out my website because some of my pricing is going to be going up after the first of the year. So now's your chance to get that, get your session, your private session booked while those before the prices go up. So thank you so much for being here. Astrologyheals.com. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.